Hello and welcome to the Real Estate Regroup Show. I am your host, LJ Walker. I wanted to talk to you guys about Dick Gregory. Many reports say he was born October 12th. So, since this is the month, this is the time that I'm choosing to go over certain aspects of his life. Now, as many of you know, Dick Gregory was a comedian, actor, activist, author, and to a certain extent, a nutritionist. He built the Slim Safe Bahamian diet, which was introduced back in 1987. It was pretty popular back then and immensely profitable. Multi-level distribution rights were reportedly sold for as much as $100 million. Okay, but unfortunately, success sometimes is not without conflict. His company, Health Enterprises, partnered with people who were supposed to help market the product, finance the deal so that the business could expand, right? In addition to all of that, Dick Gregory said that money was owed to him via royalties, and he did not get that. He said that there was a breach of contract as far as the payment schedule. He said there was also an ownership of the business where they were arguing over who controlled the company, whether it would be the partners or him. And then also who had the right to sell the formula of the Slim Safe Bahamian diet. He also alleges that there was financial mismanagement. So guys, listen, this is why it's very important that you choose your partners wisely, not just for marriage, but also in business, because the people who you do business with, that you partner with, that's like a marriage. That's very much like a marriage. So you got to choose wisely. You have to vet them. You can't just let what they say tickle your ear and you're like, oh, yay, yes, let's do business. Let's make that money. No. You want to check their references. You want to see what their arrest record is like. You want to look at their financials and see how they are managing their money. I'm not saying that Dick Gregory didn't do this. That part I don't know. I just am regurgitating what was in the court records. Okay. But anyway, yes. The fact that there was even an argument over who controlled the company, that says to me that the contracts were not clear. If you do not understand what's in a contract, ask questions. Ask questions before you sign your name. Don't sign your name and then ask questions later. No. Ask the questions first. Read slow. Take your time. Even if it means that, hey, you know what? I'm not ready to sign the paperwork yet that I just received. I need a week to go over it, to mull over it. Take that week. Don't rush into these type of things, because unfortunately, this type of thing can happen where you go to court. And he was in court for 3 years, people. 3 years. That's a long time. Okay. Not only that, when you have partners, right? How money is sent out, it matters. Like with the people that I'm partnering with, we have agreed that no money can be withdrawn out of an account unless both of us have our signature on it. See, back in the day, honestly, and I think back in his day, you could have 2 separate accounts. But a lot of people don't. A lot of people just have one account. But today, the banks only let you have one account anyway. You have one account, but like I can't just go in and say, hey, I want this money without my partner's signature, and vice versa. The other thing that some people do is they'll have a third party or a CPA that's not affiliated with either company, meaning they don't work for either company. They're sort of working on their own by themselves. And that person will disperse the money, which probably, I have a feeling that's not how it was done. Going over what I read, there's a lot of information that's left out, but from what I'm reading, I don't think that's the case. That's what he had set up. Anyway, because finance was concerned, finance was an issue, finance mismanagement, the court ordered a freeze on that money to investigate the books. This is something typical that they do. And then when it comes to financial disputes anyway. And the courts, they do this so that they can preserve the money, so that this way nobody goes in and continues to overspend. Nobody goes in, takes the money out and hides it, or gives it to another party, gives it to another person. So judges are known to do things like this. Okay. And so what happens? The money is frozen. The banks are ordered to freeze the money by the courts. So now Dick Gregory, he was locked out of his income stream because that's where he was making his money. He wasn't doing as much comedy and everything for a while. For a long while, he wasn't doing all of that. He was really focused on this Bahamian diet. Okay. But once his money got locked up, and remember, he was in court for 3 years, guess what? The bank on his farm, 40 acres, they foreclosed on him. They went through foreclosure proceedings, and that also takes a long time, especially in Massachusetts. I know Massachusetts has some big, beautiful homes. You hear me? Beautiful homes, beautiful landscapes, agriculture, etc., etc. But their court system is time consuming. It's not as bad as New York, but it ain't all that good either. I can tell you that. All right. So, and the reason why they foreclosed is because the royalties is where he was making the bulk of his money during that particular time. Plus that combined with the expenses of the 3-year, listen, lawyers cost money. Courts cost money. All of that stuff costs money. And from my understanding, it wasn't just one case. It was like several cases. So that's another reason. It was just prolonged. So unfortunately, it emptied him out. The financial health of the business and everything. It just went sour. It just went sour. And so the bank, like I said, they initiated the foreclosure process, which was lengthy. And that basically involves, letting the homeowner know. And then they eventually, of course, sold the property at a public auction. Once the foreclosure auction is completed, the owner, which was Dick Gregory at the time, he loses legal title and ownership of the property. The title then transfers to the winning bidder at the auction. That's how it works. Sometimes the bank wants your property too, and they'll keep it for themselves. They'll be like the only person bidding at the auction. They something else. You don't know. All right. So anyway, remember I was telling you an eviction is separate from a foreclosure, right? And in many reports, they have it written down that he was actually evicted. But actually, here's the thing. So once the new owner possesses and wins that foreclosure sale, the new legal owner has the right to possess the property, even if the former owners, which would be Dick Gregory, did not automatically move out. Okay, so then the new owner served Dick Gregory and his family with a former legal document called a notice to quit, which basically informs them of the owner's right to occupy the property, etc., etc., etc. So since Dick Gregory's family did not vacate by the date specified in the notice, that's when the eviction came in. So basically, to reiterate, the bank does the foreclosure goes to auction, the person who wins it is now the new owner. The old owner is supposed to move out, but if the old owner doesn't move out, then the new owner does the notice to quit. It is not good for you to go and say, hey, this is my house now, move out, because somebody did that in Detroit and got shot. So don't do that. If the people did not move out the house, you must take them to eviction court if you won that foreclosure sale. Okay? All right, capiche. If you have any questions, just, put them in the comment section and I will answer them. All right? So, but listen, guys, listen. Even though he went through this particular hardship and everything else like that, and he did have to move into an apartment, in 1996, Dick Gregory went back to what he's familiar with. He went back to performing, and he put on one-man shows, meaning, for stand-up comedy. He continued to work as an activist. He also became a lecturer as well to promote his views on both health and social issues. So this actually is what helped shift him back to regain a lot of the income that he lost. So guys, just because you go down, that doesn't mean you stay down. There's always hope. There's always something that you can always bounce back and turn around. As a matter of fact, I remember there's a preacher who also became a politician. His name was Adam Clayton Powell. And one thing he preached, one of his famous sermons was, "What's in your hand?" Which means basically, look at the talents that you have. What do you have? What can you take, make, turn it around so that it can help someone else, so that you can make some money, etc., etc., etc. Okay, and so that's what Dick Gregory did. And that is the life lesson, another life lesson that we can learn from Mr. Dick Gregory, someone who I, by the way, admire greatly. Greatly. Awesome mind. Awesome man of valor. Okay, who is now one of our ancestors and should be respected. All right, so guys, that's it. That is all that I have for you today. Hopefully, the information that I've shared will help you make smart financial moves. Feel free to pass this amongst your friends. Remember, each one reach one, teach one. Bye for now. Until next time, have a good night.